Well, the Chinese ambassador to the United States has said that Russia's war against Ukraine is not good for China. He also rejected that China knew about Russia's preparations for war. But China's support for Russia in war in Ukraine is showing its limits, even as the domestic costs for President Xi Jinping is starting to outweigh the benefits of confronting with the United States. This is a comment that has been consistent with China's appeals to de-escalate the crisis, even as Beijing is attempting to blame the United States for instigating the war. Beijing's actions appear to be calibrated to minimize the chances, Ankit, if you can help us understand, that it gets pulled into a global confrontation or even at a time when the global economy is going down.
Absolutely, Amita. This is a statement that is coming from the Chinese ambassador to the US, that is Qin Gang, and it comes after a number of days of US-China back and forth. Remember, Amita, that Jake Sullivan met with a senior CCP official in Rome. This was at a time when China and the US were both accusing each other of having A, biolabs, or B, having known about the Russian invasion that was imminent at that time. However, China has claimed that it had no idea, and if China says that if it knew that Russia was about to invade, it would have attempted to stop it. That is the claim that China is making now. We've also seen a relative hardening of the position of China vis-a-vis Russia. We know for a fact yesterday that Russia reached out to China to help for a supply of parts for its ailing airlines. The airlines are no longer getting Western parts, and so it asked China, but China refused it at that time. Initially, when the sanctions were announced, China was the first to come out and support Russia and make a big statement that it would continue carrying out trade with Russia. And that was taken by a lot of people to mean that China was behind the war and that China was supportive of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But now China is singing a different tune. This is the US ambassador to China saying that this war is not good for China. There have been a number of claims also made about how this event that is happening right now in Ukraine could reflect on what China aims to do with Taiwan as well. There are similar circumstances, but China has so far maintained that you cannot make an analogy between what's happening in Ukraine with what China wants to happen in Taiwan. And so that is where we stand at this moment, Amita, with the Chinese ambassador claiming that China did not know about the war and also that this war is not good for China.
Absolutely, Ankit. Because we also have Nupur who is joining us at this point. Nupur, however, when it comes to the global role of China that it seems to be playing, though rather more of a background support that it seems to be giving to Russia, the war in Ukraine has multiplied Xi Jinping's challenges in a year in which Chinese policymakers have also pledged to put political stability first.
Oh, yes, absolutely, Amita. It's going to be extremely difficult for China, in a sense, to perhaps support Russia and be seen to be doing that, covertly doing something and overtly doing this. There's a lot of difference in that. And China, at this point in time, knows for a fact that the West is standing united against Russia. So any support that it essentially sees being given to Russia is going to have consequences. And after, the post-pandemic world that we now live in, China is going to find it extremely difficult to bear the cost of that. Now, not just that, if we were to look militarily, the fact is that it will be very difficult for Russia to actually bring in all those equipments into the Russian side right now. Ankit also with us now. Now, Ankit, give us a sense of militarily, how far will China actually go to support Russia? Is it just going to be, rations perhaps, or some spare parts, or is it going to be a heavy sort of a military aid that we will see coming in from China to Russia?
Well, Nupur, so far from what we know, China has not helped Russia militarily. In fact, it's been the other way around. China, like India, imports weapon systems from Russia. We know that China has deployed the same S-400 missile system that India wants to acquire on the LAC alongside the Indian border in Ladakh. So China also remains an ally of Russia, but it is not a friend of Russia, is what we're being told. It is more of a partner. But there are questions that have been raised, like you currently pointed out, in the post-COVID scenario. Russia and China, are they work together in this war? Because we also know Vladimir Putin had visited Xi Jinping in Beijing at the start of the Winter Olympics, and at that time the information that had come out from the US intelligence agencies was that Xi Jinping had told Vladimir Putin to not launch an invasion before the Winter Olympics ends. So that is why there is some amount of evidence to speculate whether or not China was aware that Russia planned this large-scale military offensive and this invasion in Ukraine, and that is part of some of the answers that we are getting now where they are trying to deny. So that's where we are, Nupur.